a new Republican majority wouldn't mean we'd be able to get everything you want from Washington, but it would mean we'd be able to bring the current legislative gridlock to a merciful end.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell making the case giving the GOP control of both houses of Congress will result in less gridlock, not more. And it's time now for our Sunday group. Brit Hume, Fox News senior political analyst. Megyn Kelly, host of the Kelly File and co-anchor of Fox News election night coverage. Syndicated columnist George Will, and Fox News political analyst Juan Williams. Megyn, let me start with you. Republicans, I think we'd all agree, go into this election, already are in this election, with huge advantages. They got an unpopular president. A lot of the races are Democrats in traditionally red states. There are a whole lot of troubles, and yet we have a bunch of races we went through with Carl and Joe that are remarkably tight. How do you explain the fact that Republicans aren't already running away in this election?
First of all, it's very exciting to be here, and I just want to tell the audience at home my number one observation, which is, you look at the size of these mugs. This is out of control, you guys. This is how they stay powered through these Sunday shows.
We call these part coffee mugs, part hot tubs.
Oh, my Lord. Okay, so I just want to get that out of the way. Getting down to brass tacks, I think the reason for that, Chris, is that this isn't some pro-GOP election. It's an anti-Obama election. And the sentiment against him has grown so strong in the past couple of, well, months, in the past year, with, you know, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan, with ISIS growing, with I wasn't the one who wanted the troops out of Iraq, it was all Maliki. They don't believe him anymore. He's sacrificed his credibility for a lot of voters. So I think the reason you're seeing still these struggles is it's not we love the GOP, it's we don't like the guy at the top of the Democrat ticket. And John Cornyn said on Fox News just this weekend, and I quote, "It's not as though people have all of a sudden fallen in love with the Republicans. It's just a loss of confidence in this administration."
So it's hold your nose and vote. We asked you for questions for the panel, and we got this on Facebook from Tim Ferree, who asks, do you think the failure of the GOP nationally to produce an agenda like the 1994 contract with America kept us, he's talking about Republicans, from attracting the critical margin of support? George, how do you answer Tim, and should Republicans have run on more of a positive agenda of their own?
I think what Tim is echoing is the belief that this is the Seinfeld election, an election about nothing, which is what the media says every time there's a danger that the Republicans are going to get a mandate. This is a way of preemptively denying a mandate. Actually, this is a Casey Stengel election and a Mae West election. 1962, Casey Stengel's managing the New York Mets en route to 120 losses. He looks down the dugout one day at all the rejects from other teams and said, can't anyone here play this game? So it's basically about competence. Megan's right. There's no affirmation of the Republican Party in this that we're seeing so far, which makes it the Mae West election. Mae West said, when picking between two evils, I choose the one I haven't tried before. And they're going to try the Republicans.
But would it have made sense for them to run on more of a platform like, I mean, you say, well, they always say it's about nothing. 1994 wasn't about nothing.
I think that there is an implicit agenda, an implicit contract with America, if you will, out there in this. That is, they're going to rein in the regulatory overreach, the heaviness of government that is suppressing economic growth.
Juan, I want to ask you about an issue that I raised with Senator Ben Cardin, and that is this race hustling issue. And you know, you've got this case in Louisiana where Democratic Senator Mary Landrieu has kept as much of a distance from Barack Obama as possible. He was actually down there raising money for her, but she wouldn't campaign alongside her. And yet she comes out this week and then doubles down on it, the idea, well, you know, Barack Obama's got a lot of problem with white Southerners because of his race. What do you think about that? What do you first of all, is it effective? And what do you think about it as a tactic?
Well, in general, let me just say before I get to that, that I am just dismayed by the persistence of race and politicians pushing the race button in American politics. They do it for short-term gain, but there's long-term consequences for this. We see it in Ferguson, the Trayvon Martin shooting, and the like. You look at something like North Carolina, and the idea that you would tie the Republican to the shooting of Trayvon Martin because of his position on stand your ground is a gross distortion. But it's, again, playing to the idea that there's voter suppression efforts by the Republicans, and so anything the Democrats do to rouse the black turnout is legitimate. I think it's wrong-headed. I think it's unfair, not right. But let me quickly add, you also have had in this election Republicans, conservative talk radio, saying things like, Obama is bringing Ebola over here as payback for slavery. So, I mean, it plays on both sides, and I find it just disheartening. I mean, painful if you look at it from the historical perspective. What you've got to understand is when Landrieu is speaking, Landrieu's one of 3 white women running in the South, North Carolina, Georgia, Louisiana. They need the black vote aggressively. Is it true that the South is unfriendly, has a history of being unfriendly to blacks? Yes. Is it true that white women have had difficulty running in the South? Yes. So I don't see anything she said is wrong. It's that she pushed the button after, as you point out, Chris, having distanced herself from President Obama.
Let me bring Britt in. You and I, put this gently, have been through a bunch of midterms.
Right.
What strikes you about this one?
Well, this one looks a lot like other second presidential term midterms in the sense that, particularly with the arithmetic of the states where members of the Senate are up, being more numerous for seats to defend for Democrats and so on. Let me just respond a little bit to what Juan said. There's a very good reason why a lot of these Democrats are raising the race issue, and it is because for them to survive as in their hold on the Senate, they need a very large turnout among the constituent groups that turned out for President Obama. The Democratic Party, for all of its supposed strength, still depends on very high turnout among these minorities because they're going to lose the white vote, and probably by a considerable margin. So they need these voters to show up at the polls. They need to motivate them. That's why the president keeps talking about how he's on the ballot, his issues are on the ballot, and these people are his supporters. They need to hype that turnout because it's their only chance, really, to hold the Senate, and that explains why all these things are happening, including these ads which so dismay Juan and me, may I say.
And we got to go to the next one. It's complicated when, on the one hand, you're trying to mobilize the African-American vote, and you don't want to be caught dead with Barack Obama.
Right.
All right, panel, we have to take a break here.